That grit mentality is when you start taking ownership. Like for me, I remember I started working out at night in boot camp with 2 other guys. And the rules on that were when you rack out at night, you're supposed to be in your bunk for the first 15 minutes. So you got to lay in your bunk. So, 10 o'clock, when it's time for bed, cool. First 15 minutes, you're in your bunk. After that, if you want to work on, you can't mess around with the weapons. Those are locked up. But if you want to work on your gear, on your knowledge, if you want to study, if you want to, whatever the fuck you want to do, as long as you're quiet. A couple guys, I remember, man, like people started breaking. It was like week 3. Black Friday was shitty. That's like the first Friday you're there. You get there on like a Sunday or Monday. You're in like onboarding. You're just getting your name and everything registered. Sure. So you're with like an onboarding drill instructor. Sure. They're not terrible to you. And then at the end of the first week you're at boot camp, it's that Friday you meet your drill instructors. And they go fucking hand. It's called Black Friday. Yeah. And they're so motivated to have you. Yep. They just cannot wait. Yep. Like pit bulls that run a junkyard. Yeah. And they have an owner that keeps them on a leash, but that owner is just as fucked up as those dogs. That's what they look like. But they're locked on. They're proficient, and they need that intensity to break you. They need that intensity to create some disarray. Anyway, long story short, man, most people make it through Black Friday. It sucks. But then around week 3, man, like guys were crying in their bunks. Guys were trying to kiss each other to pretend to be gay to get out of boot camp. Just weird shit. But then, like, I see myself, and I'm like, all right, man, like, I'm okay. I haven't broke. That actually made me start working even harder. Like, oh man, maybe I got something here. Okay, how hard can I test myself? And I knew where my flaws. I'm like, man, I wasn't the best at pull-ups. I was doing like 11, 12 pull-ups. I was a strong guy, just got done playing ball. But it's pull-ups are a different type of strength than just lat pulls or being on the baseball field with mobility. That type of strength is, if you don't do pull-ups, I don't care how much you can do, how much weight you pull on a lat pull when your knees are locked down to a thing. If you don't do pull-ups, you're not good at them. So
that's true.
Me and 2 other guys that were just, ironically, maybe they felt the same thing. I don't know, but we started just working on it at night, dude. I was doing sit-ups. I was doing a certain amount of sit-ups at night and a certain amount of push-ups, certain amount of pull-ups at night. And then I would go back to my bed and I'd rack out inside Firewatch. But that's where I started like establishing my grit. Was I realized like, hey, I'm not the bottom guy. Like I haven't broke. Okay, I can take more. And it was like, hey, what else can I do here to just maximize my mental strength and my physical strength? Because I knew the harder my body was, the longer I can be mentally strong. So I knew like, hey, if I can just keep pushing my body physically to be as strong and to take as much as I could, I knew it would help on the mental side because the fact that I had not been physically breaking yet in boot camp was giving me confidence, strong body, strong mind kind of thing. So I started grasping that concept. And then it was about, now this is where I started absorbing. And dude, this is literally the first time in my life I really started identifying with like grit. It wasn't on the baseball field. It was like, hey, how much more can I take? How much more can I push my body to be more prepared? And at that point, I wasn't trying to graduate boot camp. And a lot of people never get out of that phase. They're just counting the days. For me, I started building in my head what I thought was a Marine. I didn't give a fuck about graduation day. I got 8 years coming, bro. Right? Well, at that time, 4. But the bottom line is like, it wasn't about graduation anymore. It wasn't about just, okay, the quickest way out of boot camp is to just graduate on time. Yeah. None of any of those thoughts have anything to do with like not only graduating boot camp, excelling, like hitting the fucking accelerator. And you're like, you're starting to move up and like you literally blow the fucking top off of boot camp. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, dude, thank God I did. Because the very next thing I went to was School of Infantry. And we'll talk about School of Infantry in a second, but because I know this was like your main question. I got introduced to grit because of the Marine Corps. It wasn't entrepreneurship. It wasn't a thought of mine. It wasn't like, ooh, I'm being gritty the night I thought of it. No, I just started embracing, hey, I haven't broke. Why? Okay, maybe there's something here. What if I can push myself hard? And I remember, man, I just started taking on whatever I visualized that Marine to be, whoever I wanted to be, how proficient I wanted to be. I would literally, man, I would test myself at night and I would put out more. I would push my body harder. And physically and mentally, literally every day, man, like I got better. And then before you know it, as you get better, whatever you think is overwhelming that you don't have enough grit to withstand, it's not overwhelming anymore. It's just a task at hand. Okay. And then you start, does that make sense? Yeah, and then you start excelling through.
To back up just a little bit, when you were in your bunks and those guys were crying like 3 weeks in, It seems like,
By the way, no shame. I'm not trying to talk shit. You're just being a little bitch.
it seems like you had an acceptance of where you were at and what you were going through, and then where you wanted to take that. Whereas some of these guys, they were still kind of in that denial stage of like, hey, I just got to get through this. Fuck. Hey, let me try and get out of this.
And it's not even denial.
Like,
it's true. Like a lot of these guys, they weren't infantry. A lot of
Yeah.
these guys that were going to the Marine Corps, maybe they were, aviation mechanics. Maybe they were something else. But you go to the Marine Corps to be a Marine. So everybody at least had that.
but they weren't, it seems like maybe they weren't just accepting the circumstances. They were trying to change it. Hey, let's kiss each other and try it. They're trying
it
to
was so
control
weird.
this uncontrollable situation.
They were trying to back out.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so
right.
let's talk about that, because if you're going to expose yourself to enough experiences in life to where that's where grit grows, grit grows on the other side of the fence. So if you're not even willing to put yourself on that side of the fence, you haven't hit a phase where grit grows.
Right.
You're still getting patted on your ass. So here's my deal though. For me, I was not leaving boot camp. I'm not going to pretend to have an injury. I'm not going to make an injury look worse. I'm not going to get injured on purpose. This is real shit.
Getting out was not an option to you.
Dude, and as much as we make jokes, look, dude, the Marine Corps boot camp, it's no joke, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the hardest thing on the planet, but for youngsters, man, like there's just more to it than a run. There's more to it than drill. It's how everything overlays, and it's the psychology behind these drill instructors and how they operate.
Yeah.
But for me, and this is advice to anyone out there, I guess even prior to grit, you need to have a conversation with yourself, as in self-respect, your word, and your reputation. What do these mean to you?